Spoilers of the Damned.
Okay, so welcome to the first ever Spoilers of the Damned podcast. We three.
I like that name. That's
Thank
a good
you.
name.
It took a little while to
Yeah.
get round to it. I've got probably a dozen other things that came close.
Right. Just saying, like, having heard it now as an introduction, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but whatever.
No, go for it.
It works. It works in my head. But yeah, this works.
Yeah.
This is a good name.
The other really important thing is that it was pretty much a bit of a Google whack. Nothing else came back when I wrote it into Google, which was beautiful because you can't really,
That's good.
you can't even pay for that kind of advertising. Well, you can, but Google will shaft you. So,
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, Spoilers of the Damned. Basically, what I had envisioned in my head is basically, I'm saying basically a lot.
It's fine.
Said it twice. I'm counting now.
We're
We're going to have a little counter in the side that just ticks.
We'll do that. It's fine.
Basically, Spoilers of the Damned is kind of like, basically, oh my goodness.
It's fine.
Okay, yeah. Is anyone counting? This is where the first
It's
episode
gonna
takes
be a
place.
running. It's gonna be a running gag.
Oh boy.
It basically will be a running gag.
Okay. Spoilers of the Damned is a horror podcast. It's focused around film, TV, and video games. Anything else you can think of. If you saw a painting you liked that looked a bit horrific, you could talk about that. It doesn't really matter. It's just a kind of nice place where we can all sit down and talk about things and theorize sort of stuff. And yeah, why don't we start by introducing ourselves? You can say as much or as little as you like.
I nominate Matt.
Man. Yeah, I'll be the first one. Why not? Yeah, my name's Matt, and I have a little channel on YouTube called Lost in the Warp Pipe where I make silly videos occasionally. And,
It's a very good channel, I can attest.
Yeah, and in my spare time, I like to go to the gym and eat a obnoxious amount of Monster Munch.
Which flavour? This is important.
Monster
Flaming
Munch?
hot.
What is Monster Munch?
It's America. It's America.
Yeah.
They might not
America!
have Monster Munch. They
Of course.
probably have something much better.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
What would you classify? Monster Munch is kind of like maize snacks, like corn puffs.
Yeah, they're super healthy.
You call them maize? That's crazy.
I have to have them kept away from me, basically.
And they have the really
alright.
kind of like basically strong, overpowering flavour that's quite
That's
stinky.
Yeah, that is
The
true.
pickled onion one smells.
Yeah, Flaming Hot, though's a gorgeous flavour, and I have to have them kept away from me because otherwise I just kind of absorb them into my face as opposed to eating them.
Is it something close to like Cheetos?
Yeah,
then? Do you
yeah,
know
pretty much.
Yeah, well, you just keep eating them, and then you just don't stop, and then you
Yeah.
cry yourself to sleep.
Yeah, it's like eating like delicious packing material. I mean, it's delicious.
Yeah, exactly.
No offense. I love the packing material, but yeah, it's basically what it is.
But yeah, it's basically
All
that's Monster Munch's life. So that's that. There we go.
Monster
I'm
Munch.
standing by that.
It's such a silly name, though.
It is quite
Monster
silly.
Munch.
They used to have these little
All right,
characters on them. I don't know if they still do.
They kind of do, but they went back to like the retro. Why do I know this? Why do I know like I've got like substantial knowledge about the characters of Monster Munch?
I would really hope that if you're consuming Monster Munch on this kind of level, that you have an intricate knowledge of the kind of canon of Monster Munch.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
lore behind Monster Munch?
Oh, well, I can't reveal that information.
I think in
Right,
time,
right on,
as
man.
we kind of focus and dedicate maybe an hour and a show to it, we'll get to the bottom of things eventually.
I'll write some law. It'd be great.
And be sponsored by Monster Munch.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, incidentally, this is as good a place as any. If anyone does want to be sponsored by this hot mess, they can.
Yes,
they just
so,
need to apply.
Walkers, send me the Monster Munch. That's fine. I'll give you a plug. Just Flaming Hot to my door, boxes after boxes, and we'll be good.
All right. I guess I'll take the next introduction. My name's Chris. I'm American. I'm the odd man out in the trio here. But I have a YouTube channel as well. It doesn't really do anything right now, but I dream about it all the time, just putting up more and more stuff. But unfortunately, I work a lot, so this is one of my few entertaining things I get to do. But I have a long history with horror stuff. I got in with Resident Evil 2 And before that, I got in with like Commodore 64 games that I'm not going to bother mentioning because nobody's going to remember them. And I've been playing all the Resident Evils, and I fell in love with Silent Hill, and I've been following horror games ever since. So I'm sort of I'm going to use the word sort of, like Tom uses the word basically.
I
Basically, sort of.
How's it? Wait. Essentially. There you go. That'll be mine. So,
Nice.
type basically
Sort of,
into a thesaurus, and essentially is one of the first results. Or mostly. That works as well.
It's funny you should say that. Sorry, Chris. You go ahead.
No problem. I was going to say that I have also been reading the Walking Dead comic books, which I don't think anyone else here has. So I can offer that towards the Walking Dead discussions we'll have.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, I'm sort of somewhere in the middle of the comics. I think I definitely read past the Governor, but I'm not sure if I actually read up to Negan.
Yeah. I read up to the end of Negan, and I stopped there because it has a happy ending. And I've been dying for one since I started. Like, let's just have a happy ending, please. So much sadness happens in these comics. So,
it's a happy show. It's a happy show.
Tom?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a happy show. Everyone's getting together, eating,
Rick cries a bit. That's pretty much the show in general.
Yeah.
I've been hearing actually this week. I'm not got involved with it, but I watched several people who talk about the TV show and the comics and stuff for Walking Dead. There's this one guy, Ronnie Hayes. He's quite cool. He's probably one of the bigger ones, people who talk about Walking Dead, and he's been saying there's this kind of campaign to tone down the gore in the show or something like that. And apparently it's succeeded, but I with these channels, sometimes it's hard to tell if they're just generating kind of like a negative buzz so that they can ride clickbait, basically. I never wanted to think that Ronnie would do that, but I don't understand. I think I think it's probably a byproduct of the season 7 opener.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Which Chris, basically that's episode 100. Not episode 100. That's oh my god, I forgot to turn off the cuckoo clock. Can you guys hear that?
Slightly.
Amazing.
Smash it.
It's 5 o'clock.
Smash it.
We're gonna have 2 more.
It's fine. We can use that sound effect every time you say the word basically. Use a little cookie.
Just fill it in. Yeah.
There we go. Sorted.
I already lost count on when it comes to use basically.
Well, essentially.
Sorry.
So basically.
Nice.
Yeah, awkward silence.
I believe it's your turn to introduce
Of course,
yourself
we got a bit distracted there by Walking Dead and what have you.
It will
I
happen.
was just going to say it was interesting that you brought up the Silent Hill connection, because I believe that's pretty much where I almost met you from back in 2003.
Yeah, we just sort of barely missed each other. Like, hey, it's foggy. I can't see you.
Without going into too much detail, I mean, I was telling Matt before we started the podcast. On that same forum, I didn't meet you, Chris, at the time, but I've since learned that you were on the forum at the same time, active.
Mm-hmm. I was lurking.
Yeah, I met my wife. I met my ex-girlfriend. I met my friend in Finland. It's very strange that basically that Silent Hill forum has become a nexus for everything that has happened in my life. I'm not sure if I should be concerned or not.
No, you shouldn't. It's fine. It's just people getting together. It doesn't matter what the context is, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's an example where you can prove me wrong.
Well, I think...
But in the same sense, I met my fiance there, and I met you there, and I met... Well, not technically you, but through Kina, I met you there, and a bunch of other people that I still keep up with today. And I think it's really cool, because it's like such a... Well, Silent Hill is a negative, horror experience, sadness and tragedy, but a lot of positive have come through my life through that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I always think that's really interesting.
I remember back when it was an Easy Boards and I was 15, posting about how much James's psyche was representing itself in the town and all these other kind of things that 15-year-olds really shouldn't be thinking about.
Right.
I remember seeing those posts where people would go, "Oh, we met on the forum, we just got married, and here's a picture," and it's crazy to think that that's how kind of life has turned out for me as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, my name is Tom. I say basically a lot.
Tom, basically.
Basically, you're Tom.
I'm basically Tom. I've been into horror forever. not a lot of it scares me anymore. I'm still chasing the ones that do. And Resident Evil 7, we're going to talk about in a little minute. Definitely the demo of that has been giving me interesting feelings. But yeah, I'm trying to start a YouTube channel. I've been thinking about it for a long time, literally 6 years. Every time I come up with something and I think I'm going to upload it, I don't like it, I think about it too much, and I scrap the whole thing. And this podcast essentially was the first step in trying to record something, put it out, not think about it, and try and get used to speaking publicly, try and get used to uploading content, so that actually I can get over that kind of perfectionist element of my personality that just wrecks everything I'm doing and doesn't give it the chance to actually grow into something good, which is basically what we're doing. We're hopefully going to meet on a fairly, regular schedule and talk until basically we don't sound like basically idiots. Basically,
I'm not sure that's ever going to happen. That's perfectly honest. Not with me, anyway. I'm always going to sound like an idiot. You said that. Well, where am I?
You say that, but both of you have, even though you've managed to isolate the particular words that you're repeating too often, you're not in the same league as me.
Oh no, I don't have. I don't think I've nailed sort of down nearly as much as you've hit basically in the last.
I'm looking at the show notes and I can see the word basically.
It will be. Everything's a competition, and I will win it. Sort of.
I like where this is going.
Essentially, I'm taking your words too.
It's half a point if you use someone else's word.
Oh,
basically.
Basically, it's essential that we steal each other's words. That's what you're saying.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Okay,
right.
So yeah, if we get on to the thing proper, I wrote this nice little paragraph thing to read for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Film, TV, and video game podcast based around horror and all things dark. We like things that make you think and theorize, from highlighting interesting and obscure titles to covering the latest and greatest AAA blockbusters. With a fun yet analytical eye, we'll be picking apart the bones and taking a look inside. So, if we break that down, we like horror stuff, we're going to talk about horror stuff, and say basically a lot.
Okay. I can dig it.
One of us will.
There's always one.
There's always one. So let's kick it off towards the Resident Evil 7 thing.
Yes.
To give us a direction here.
So Resident Evil 7 is out, I think Tuesday.
Yep.
Oh God, is it
Yeah.
so
Absolutely, I can't wait.
And
that means I'll have to stop playing Final Fantasy 14. Is that what's going to happen?
Probably.
Dang it.
The thing is,
Alright.
I'm really hoping that it doesn't have one of those obscenely large install and update files, because I have to get up stupidly early the next day to get into work stupidly early. So I'm hoping I can get back and actually play at least an hour of it before I have to go to bed.
Without making
Yeah.
you upset, I think pretty much every game now that I buy has got an hour or more install.
Yeah.
Download a patch that's
Yeah,
15
I
gig.
expect it.
Well, it's my favorite is when it says, "Oh, it's 40% installed. You can now play the game." Okay, cool, I'll do that. Well, you can't play it. You can look at the main menu.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, listen to this fun music while we watch the download
Why
progress.
is this a
bar
thing?
That happened with
slowly
Why is
fill
that
up.
a
with
thing?
Dead Rising 4 for me.
Yeah.
It said install, so I installed it, and then it said ready to play, and you could literally load the menu and change some of the options.
Ooh, all aboard the fun train.
Yep.
Yeah. Toot toot.
Have either of you guys played the demo for Resident Evil 7?
I have played one of the demos. I played the demo with the ghost girl in it. And as I understand it, the newest demo either didn't have her, or they just didn't bother looking for her in the LP that I watched of it. So I'm kind of hoping of that, because I don't really want it to be a paranormal thing. That's Silent Hill's thing, especially with PT. And if they follow through with the supernatural stuff in Resident Evil, which historically has not had supernatural elements to it
Yeah.
in any of the Resident Evil games. So I would really like them not to step into that territory and just stay in the weird science stuff.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think, however, you hit the nail on the head there. I think PT is pretty much the blueprint for this Resident Evil game, in terms of at least the kind of the look and feel. of everything, and they have they toe a very fine line between normal and paranormal. Sorry, hang on, I'm just having a drink top up.
Oh, I see how it is.
Okay, I was hoping that was a drink in the toilet or something.
He's taking the microphone with him.
It's a long wire.
Basically, I'm talking to you from the commode.
Nice. That's how I like it.
Sweet.
It's my type of shit.
I was trying to get into the true Resident Evil 7 kind of sense of things. Have you seen that fucking candle?
Oh, the one it's like £10.
Candle.
It's like, ooh, it's a spooky candle.
The one that you burn and supposedly just smells of awfulness.
Then no, I didn't see the candle.
Oh, it's Resident Evil 4D candle now, so that you can smell exactly what the inside of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre house smells like.
It's like, what's...
Yeah, smell your controller. You'll smell.
Sign me
the
up, coach. I'm ready.
Oh. Sign me up, coach. I'm ready. I did like the direction that the new demo went, where you could actually do something. It wasn't just spinning in circles nonsense. You can't actually leave the house like it was in the original demo. And I did like, of course, the monster that was finally in there.
Yeah.
And the fact that you could actually fight something. And beside it being a first-person view game, it did give me a little bit of the feel of the Resident Evil 1 experience, where you first meet the first zombie, and it's like actually a hard fight. Really, no matter how you approach it, because you can't knife a zombie in Resident Evil 1 very well. You can pretty much only run, or just knife, turn, and that's real tedious, that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that they've given that element to the Resident Evil 7 demo, and I hope that it continues on. Like, you can get a shotgun, and you can actually have some more action elements like Resident Evil is known for.
Yeah, I mean, I've played the demo extensively. Been through it about 10 times, mainly because I was trying to get that dirty coin that you can. There's a kind of like a murder mystery thing in the latest kind of final update of the demo, where you find a little book in the attic and some writing on the wall, and then there are these places you can go in the demo that basically trigger these events, and you kind of like write them down in the book, and if you get them all, you get this coin, which apparently you're supposed to be able to save the game from the demo and then load it up in the game when it comes out, and this coin will give you something. I'm not sure exactly, maybe a weapon or a skin or something.
Oh,
okay.
Has that been confirmed?
No, all we know, all that's been confirmed is that it's you can carry it over to the game, and that it will have some change on the game based on carrying it over. But
I don't. Oh, good.
Yeah, it's not really important. I don't think it's going to be a major kind of like a plot change or anything like that. I think it was just something fun they added to the demo to make it have worth.
Yeah, but is it like that wax or that fake finger that didn't actually do anything until they released another demo?
Yeah, well, that's what you use to solve the murder mysteries, essentially. As far as I gather, the first demo was really quite bare bones. My brother downloaded it. I watched him play it, and it was over in a few moments. It was literally just kind of go to the front door and get the bolt cutters, find the VHS, play the VHS, and then try to leave through the back door, and you get "Welcome to the family, son," punched into the face.
Yay! I was hoping I'd get to hear, what do you guys do in American accent? Awesome.
And that guy is creepy. I mean, I've seen some of the late footage that people have been putting on their YouTube channels now ahead of it coming out. And he's just punching his way through walls, taking headshots. It's he just looks kind of very scary. He just keeps coming. But going back to what I was saying about the kind of straddling the line between paranormal and normal, there are a couple of moments in the demo where he definitely does not adhere to the laws of physics whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah, if you watch the VHS and then you turn around and look at the door, the basically the only exit to that room, you see him walk past. And then if you dash out into the corridor, he's literally gone. He just vanishes into thin air. It's just kind of like and the first time I saw him do that, I saw him just walk past the door and nonchalantly, not even looking at me. I felt a twinge, sort of, that deep twinge inside of, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And I've not felt that in a lot of horror games for a long time. So that's why I'm quite excited about Resident Evil 7.
Well, I was excited about it at first because one, it's graphically superior, not superior, but like really good. It looks really good, detail wise, and two, this will probably not get canceled like PT did.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something.
I'm still sore about that. Still really sore.
Oh yeah, I'll be chafed on that for
Yeah.
the rest of my life probably.
Have you still got it downloaded to your guys' PS4s?
No.
I did, but they have a timer on it that long expired that didn't let you play it anymore anyway. So
Does it really?
yeah, like I can't. Yeah, I literally can't play it anymore. I have it on my PS4.
Oh no,
I
that
can't
sucks
play it.
because I was going to go and get some footage. My brother's got it on his PS4 still, but I can't even play it.
Yeah,
Oh.
Konami shafted a
They
lot
really
of
have.
us.
It's okay. It's okay because they're
Sort of.
making a new Metal Gear Solid game that's got zombies in it.
Oh,
That's
hurrah.
right.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
this what we want? No, they're not zombies. They're not zombies. They've got like crystals on them. They're different. Yeah, they're zombies.
They're mind warped crystals.
In an
or
alternate
something.
dimension.
It might be fun to
Yeah.
play though. I'm going to give it that. It might be fun to play if it has the Metal Gear Solid 5 gameplay, but just is a zombie game. It still would be fun to play. I wouldn't have to worry about the rest of the world. Because it's not going to build further in the world of
I
Metal
hope
Gear
not.
Solid because Kojima's gone and it's an alternate dimension anyway. So anything that happens there doesn't fucking matter. And that's the first F-bomb of the podcast.
It wasn't me.
I think-
What's going on?
I think it's I think that gameplay, the sort of core gameplay of Resident Evil 4, not Resident Evil 4, of Metal Gear Solid 5 is really robust and incredibly well made. So they'd probably have a hard time to screw it up. I'm sure Konami can manage it.
They'll
but-
try.
Right. All they have to do is cut and paste and add
Exactly.
zombies. It'll
I
be
think
fine.
fundamentally on that level, it might be fun as a kind of a B movie style train wreck to play.
It's going to be a train.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And it's co-op. You know,
Yeah,
that's fun.
that's true.
If nothing else, it's always fun to have some
Yeah.
co-op. But let's get back
Yes.
to Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, so it's
What was it? Oh yeah, so I watched. Oh
No,
go
no,
ahead,
you-
ahead, Matt.
you go
haven't
ahead.
been talking much. No, you. I insist.
Oh, well, I was basically just going to say
I'll
I'm
fight
really
you.
looking forward to it this week. I'm going to rush through it as quickly as I can to get to the end. And I've been watching lots of theory videos about the kind of the family involved. I'm kind of hoping that it kind of... I think it's going to toe this line of Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of homage very heavily.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that they don't
if I may
overdo
interrupt
it.
real quick, your word is not essentially. Your word is kind of. Now you can continue.
Reset the timer.
Reset it. Do it.
Okay, so basically,
sorry about
essentially, kind of.
Essentially, basically, kind of, in a way.
Sort of.
I know they're painting this family out to be freaks, sort of Hills Have Eyes, and that episode of X-Files, whatever it was called, Home. Basically, that's the blueprint for this Resident Evil, and I'm good with that. I'm glad that they're bringing it back to a kind of a low scale. It's like you said, Chris, that the Resident Evil 1 kind of feel, even though it's first person.
The solitude, the awareness of anything can happen to you at any time. You don't really quite know what's going on in this new environment where you're all by yourself.
Yeah, and the scope seems a lot smaller as well. Because the problem, 6 is not a good game, but I will defend it to an extent because people still seem to have an idea that it was going to be a survival horror game, which it never was going to be. But in that, it was just so global, and zombies and monsters. Oh, it's all over the world, and the world's going to explode and melt, and I don't care. But this looks a lot more self-contained in the sense that it just looks like it's just in a house, or if it's going to be like a surrounding farm area. So it's
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, you don't want the protagonist to go through the horrors that you're imagining is going to happen in this house.
Exactly.
And I think that's what builds up on the fear.
Yeah,
You don't.
it's more kind of personal
you see all
horror,
this
isn't
weird
it?
Shit. Yeah. You sort of identify with the guy, even though you don't have any real. Do you even know what his name is? Is he the guy in the
No,
VCR at
I've
all,
been
or is
really
he just
confused about this
or-
because, well, if you play the new demo and finish it, there is a true ending, and that ending involves the person that you're playing as getting out. I think that person might be called Ethan, but that might be someone else completely who you actually play as in Resident Evil 7. So I'm quite unsure as to which one you actually are. I know in the VHS you're called Clancy, and I'm imagining something pretty bad happened to him based on the opening FMVs, so I don't know.
Yeah. My main drawback on Resident Evil 7 that I made me lose a lot of interest. I'm probably going to watch a Let's Play. I'm not certain I'll buy it or not. It really depends on certain things. But is that they do the jump scare thing, and they do it cheaply in the demo. Like when you get the tool, whatever it is you cut the chain with, I can't remember what it's called. A doll falls from
I remember that.
onto the floor and spooks you a little bit. But if you look up, there isn't a shelf, there isn't a wire, there isn't anything that doll could have been hanging on. It just fell magically in front of you.
This is that thing I'm talking about, that kind of like where that logical, it it could be just that they're completely lazy and they're throwing them in there.
Yeah.
As I definitely, I think it's more that than that these people have any kind of like powers or what have you. And it's a bit of a shame because it is cheap. It's basically not even in universe explained. It's just it happens for the sake of it.
Happens because scary.
Yeah,
that doll did make me jump the first time, maybe even the second time. But after that, playing through, I would select the item to pick it up, and then not even sort of see the doll fall. I would quick turn and run straight back down the corridor because I knew where I had to go and what to do. And so I think it is a bit cheap. You can see it for what it is the second you take a look around in that room.
Yeah, and I think with like Resident Evil 1, which we're comparing this to, at least we have, with Resident Evil 1, there's at least some lore explanation for all the weirdness in the Spencer Mansions and the Raccoon Police Department, all that stuff. Like, some crazy guy had it all done.
Exactly.
They just said that. Yeah. And that was enough. That's enough for me. I just need to know somebody did it. Someone's acknowledging it on the design side of the video game. And it's not just, we're just going to throw this doll in front of you to spook you, and then you're going to turn around and leave.
Yeah, exactly. There was kind of an in-universe explanation for the kind of quirky puzzles and things like that.
And, it wasn't just that doll. Those mannequins. No one is invisible so far in this game, so who went in there and moved all the mannequins?
Yeah.
And if the mannequins moved themselves, why did they stop?
Well, funny thing is,
Man, make those fucking mannequins hit me. That would scare the shit out of me.
I didn't even notice they turned around the first time. It took a couple of playthroughs before I actually twigged that they had turned around.
Yeah. Well, then there's that one mannequin that stands directly in your way when you try to go back downstairs again. And you can just push it down the stairs.
Revenge.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you spooked me, huh? Take that.
Victory. Immediately gets killed.
So,
what?
So, like, with all those elements, it really detracts from the experience of survival horror, because now they're just going to throw shit at me just to make me scared or spooked, just for that reason alone. And that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know if this is going to be good. But if the full release version of the game takes place away from the demo, like outside of the demo, like if the demo is a self-contained thing, an unrelated experience or a loosely related experience, and Resident Evil 7 takes place with another character or another character that's like doing something around that house or something else, that would actually be great. Like the engine is good, the gameplay is good, all that stuff is good. It just needs better set pieces to be a really good complete experience.
Yeah, I think that's what they're aiming for.
It needs Umbrella. It needs something. It needs Western.
Well, in the latest update of the demo, there is a kind of a photo of a helicopter with the Umbrella logo on it. And it says something like, scribbled on it says something like "they're watching us" or something like that. And there is a phone you can hear. I'm pretty sure it's Ada. You can hear on the end of the line as well, which is another ending to the demo. So there are these little nuggets in there, which, and from what I've read, it's basically said that anyone can pick up Resident Evil 7 and play it and not worry too much about the overarching lore of Resident Evil. But for the people who do care about that stuff is in there, and it's easy to find it. So,
that's
and the other thing I have read is that the demo is supposed to be more of a kind of a self-contained experience that kind of gives you a taste of what Resident Evil 7 is, without actually being. It might actually fit canon-wise in terms of the plot, but ultimately it doesn't impact too much upon what Resident Evil 7 actually is. So I'm hoping they go down that, because, like you said, Chris, I think that would appeal to me the most. It's whet my appetite, this demo, and now I'm happy to kind of move on to a much more sort of realized version of that demo as a full game.
Yeah, it's a small house, and you never get to get outside except for that true ending. Excuse me. So I'd like to know what's out there, and that's like, because the house has been explored. If it starts off in the house, all the speedrunners who've been doing this demo for their YouTube channels are just going to fly through it. They may not even see any of the things that that they added in the new release.
Yeah.
It just seems like they need to start it somewhere else.
Oh, it's
now.
funny you should say about speedrunners, because I've been really getting into speedrunning recently. I think I'm actually going to start speedrunning a couple of games.
Okay.
Mainly because Games Done Quick was on, I think, last week or the week before.
Mm-hmm. I love
yeah,
AGDQ.
it was amazing. Some of the Resident Evil...
Love it.
I follow a guy on YouTube who basically showed up. His name is Carcinogen SDA, and
Yes,
he's great.
He's a cool guy.
His playthroughs are all really interesting because he understands the internal logic of how the game works and explains that in a really interesting but easy to understand way. So,
and slightly neurotic.
well, yeah, slightly. It is kind of like of that level, but I think if you have to be, if you're a world record runner, you have to understand all those kind of intricacies of the game.
Yeah, I watched his RE3 run, and I saw this one clip where he was doing a Resident Evil 2 run on his PSP, and it was like a cutscene that you couldn't skip. So he was like taking a bite of a burrito, and then it spilled all over his PSP. Like, oh, no. It's like, how many seconds did you lose to the burrito, man?
But sorry, we got a bit distracted. But basically, I watched his speedrun of the Resident Evil 7 demo. And you're right.
Okay.
If it's a series of just commands to get out of a very, sort of small house, and that's the game itself, then yeah, I think they'll crack it pretty quickly. But I'm hoping, from what I've seen, it looks like it takes place over a kind of a series of places that may be connected. So, I heard talk of a plantation kind of like house, and so sort of a bigger mansion as opposed to the house in the demo, and there's probably going to be other outbuildings and farms and what have you. So I'm hoping that it kind of even to probably swampland as well. So
swampland. There's always a water level, right?
Exactly.
You can't have a sewer. You have a swamp.
God.
You have a swamp. You're in a pond or a lake or something.
Oh, they'll do both.
They'll do both. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like. But the thing about never mind. We're not going to talk about water levels. This is not where that's supposed to be done. I'm not going to talk about it.
I think we could dedicate a whole episode just to water levels.
Fucking water levels.
Because they do inspire a lot of horror in me.
Oh.
I don't like when they do a water level, and this is relevant to Resident Evil 6, and you have to swim and watch your air gauge.
Oh, God.
And you don't know where you're going because they threw you in the water, and you're just going to go straight. But as soon as you see a turn, you're like, well, that may have been it. I don't know. Gonna keep going.
That was terrible. That whole section just sucked.
Yeah. And then your cell phone survives at the end somehow. Magic
because
cell
it's the
phone.
future.
Resistant. Yeah.
It's like the phones have got like strange cube-like things. Or was that that's the one that Sherry has, isn't it? It's like some strange cube thing.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
It's something.
I'm willing to forgive the phones based on the fact that the magical changing face of Leon Kennedy is apparent throughout the games and CG movies as well. The fact that his face changes so much, I can just accept pretty much everything else. Yeah. And his voice as well sometimes.
Like across media. Look,
it's Leon because of the haircut and jacket.
Yeah, that's the only way you can recognize him. That is pretty crazy. Speaking of Resident Evil and Leon specifically, Resident Evil 4 is the only one that I haven't beaten.
You really?
And it's everyone's favorite. Yeah, I haven't. I got to the castle, and here's the thing: I did not want to use a sniper rifle. I was adamant against it. I didn't want to do it. So what I wanted to use was the TMP, and I enjoyed using the TMP. I was even sniping with it. I had a good time. But as soon as one of those Ganados would pick up Ashley and walk off with her, it's a lot harder to snipe not Ashley with the TMP. So I couldn't get past that part where it's forced on you to snipe somebody. And you have that long room, and you have a gap between you. You can't close the distance. I didn't bring a rifle with me, so I'm looking for the red laser dot, and the first bullet might hit, but it wouldn't do enough. The second bullet probably hits Ashley, and then and then the game over. And I'm like, man, I'm not gonna start this whole thing all over again. I'm just gonna quit.
To be fair, as well, the castle was probably the worst section in the whole game. That's where I had the least fun.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, like The Village
Yeah.
was super good. I was having a good time there. Once you start really getting into the rhythm of using stuns and melee to get through, and using grenades like strategically, and not just using your pistol to kill things, it was a fun game until you ran into like a bear trap or something. Because you don't ever see that shit. Like, God damn it. So,
Okay.
I don't think we're done talking about Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
But I do have a question that I wanted to throw to all three of you, and I think it'll be fun just to sort of refresh our brains. My question, and I'm going to direct it to Matt first and then Tom second, is what do you like about horror media? Like, what is it that you get out of it?
Oh, interesting.
I suppose that's actually quite tricky. It really depends. I mean, because the thing is, like, a lot of horror media that I like, I don't find particularly scary. Some of my favourite films, like The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is up there with Alien as like one of my favourite horror films ever made. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't find it scary. Again, it depends what kind of horror film I'm watching. If I'm going to watch something like Evil Dead, it's just for the gore. I think most of the time it's probably watching the way the characters react to things. Like The Thing, one of my favourite lines is when the character runs into Childs and he just screams at him, "Mac wants the flamethrower," and his reaction is, "Mac wants the what?" It's like, yeah, he wants to fight because there's something scary and he wants to set fire to it. But yeah, again, like, but then there's something more psychological, like Jacob's Ladder or like the Silent Hill series. Like it's more because it's all psychological and you're trying to piece this strange stuff together. And when the big reveal in Silent Hill 2 is just like one of the best things in like horror video games like ever, because once you play the game through again
completely,
you pick up so much stuff that was so subtle that makes so much sense now. But yeah, I don't know if I have a real definitive answer for it.
Yeah. Well, even that is a definitive answer.
It depends. I think it depends on what kind of horror media is I'm experiencing. If it's a George Romero zombie film, well, if it's the first 3 George Romero zombie films, it's watching the way that the people react to it. And the whole thing in Day of the Dead is that with all these unsurmountable odds, you know, these might be the last humans alive in this bunker. They still can't work together, and they still end up killing each other. Essentially, it's all they kill each other. It's the zombies rip them apart, but it's their inability to work together that's their downfall. That's interesting. I like that. Something like Evil Dead is just watching Sam Raimi torture Bruce Campbell for like 90 minutes. Or Jacob's Ladder is more emotional. And yeah, so I've waffled, but yeah, it depends really. There's a lot that I take out on most things. I mean, there's nothing as bad, I don't think. Actually, no, there's only one thing worse than a terrible horror film, and that's a terrible comedy. Because a terrible comedy film is just absolutely miserable.
Like, they're trying to make jokes, and they are not even the joke itself. Whereas a bad horror movie can be the joke by itself. You know, it's entertaining by itself.
Yeah, I find that too.
Or a bad horror film can sometimes just be depressing.
It can be.
Yeah.
There's a fine line between so bad it's good and so bad it's bad. But
so bad it's like the American remake of Dark Water or Black Water, which was a Japanese horror film. I went to the cinema to see it, and I've never in my life watched a more dull and soulless movie in my entire life. I nearly fell asleep in the cinema, and I never fall asleep in the cinema. So, but
was that like The Ring? Is that what that was?
It was like something similar. They move into an apartment complex, and then there's spooky goings on, and there's black water everywhere, and
it's like the patches on the wall or ceiling or whatever.
And the payoff's just crap, and it's miserable.
So wait, was that The Grudge too then, or is it like third separate Japanese horror thing?
It's got a spooky.
It's got to be The Ring or The Grudge if it's from Japan.
It's another. It's another Japanese.
That's been Americanized.
It's another Japanese horror film with a spooky child. That's all you need to know, really. Oh, and she's got long hair as well.
Yeah, they love that stuff.
And long hair, so you know you can't. You can't see their face.
Yeah,
spooky. But yeah, I've gone on the tangent. But yeah, what I take out of horror is just multiple levels. like I listed it really does
Okay.
depend. We've got a mood I'm in as well. Actually, sometimes I want to watch gore.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I want to get really invested in the characters. Because again, in a horror film, the most important thing is that you like the characters. If you don't like the characters,
you want to see them succeed or fail.
that's why Final Fantasy, Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th and Halloween, they're not, besides Halloween 1 and 2, they're not really horror films because you don't like these characters. You want to see Jason while he's killed. That's not scary.
I really get tired of seeing those teen characters who are just like you don't like any of them at all. So it's like, you're cheering on the monster.
Exactly.
Kill him, please. Look at that premarital sex going on. End those two right there.
It's like, that's not scary.
Right.
So.
Okay, Tom, do you want to take a crack at that?
Yeah. Well, basically, there we go. I think horror. The thing I dig the most about horror is, I think, depth. I'm not saying that in a pretentious way. It's more just the fact that there is a lot of entertainment that is very kind of base level. Comedy sometimes comedy just appeals to that. Sometimes a comedy can be really thought out, like say Hot Fuzz or they have levels, and I feel like horror to me always appealed because there were lots of levels in the things that I was experiencing at the time. I never really watched horror films as a kid. I missed out on all of these sort of 80s films that apparently parents let their kids watch. I'm the kind of kid who
still crazy to me.
I had to learn how to program our VCR so that I could record Aliens and watch it later. And my mum was not very happy when she found out, but that also kind of opened the doors. They then realized that maybe actually it's all right if he watches a 15 or an 18 because he's a level kid.
Yeah.
Or so they think.
You can handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
They just planted the seed.
And I think the first horror game that I actually got was Resident Evil 2. It was Resident Evil 2 for Dreamcast. Managed to persuade my mum to buy it for us, even though it had a 15 on it. Nice. And that led the way. That was the gateway to things like Silent Hill, things like Project Zero or Fatal Frame in the US.
Okay.
And what appealed to me the most, I think, is that because at the same sort of time, I was 15, 16, 17, I was doing film studies and media studies at college. So I was learning how to interpret things and pick them apart and look for meaning and depth. And at the same time, games like Silent Hill as well, they lend themselves to theorizing and working out what the hidden layers are. And I think that, to me, is that's the horror I like, is the stuff that does that. Sometimes this stuff doesn't even sort of fall under the umbrella of horror, so to speak. It's more kind of like existential questions of life. What is it? Who are we? Why are we here? And you can find terror in stuff like that. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, the short story.
I love that.
Yeah, and I've yet to play the game based on it as well. But that short story, when I read that, that's the kind of thing that really sends a chill up my spine. And yeah, it makes me sound a bit weird, but I'm always chasing something that gives me that kind of feeling. That kind of, I feel like it expands your mind because you think about a new kind of terror, a new kind of horror, whatever.
Well, sorry, go on.
Sorry. Well, I was just going to say, I also have a place in my heart for all that other kind of stuff that I guess I would label kind of cheesy horror. All the 80s stuff, I'm kind of discovering it as I go because I didn't have access to it in my formative years. Say, for instance, like Nightmare on Elm Street series or the Freddy series. I've only picked up little bits of kind of pop culture around those things as I've gotten older, and now it's a case of when I approach them, from a really kind of fuzzy, warm place of, oh, it's good old Freddy, child molester, killer, etc. Because the pop culture has kind of taken these icons and kind of rounded off the edges and made them less kind of scary horror and more kind of
marketable.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. So I have a place in my heart for all that kind of stuff too. And but yeah, if I'm being honest, the main thing that draws me to something horrific is whether it's got that kind of depth to it.
Yeah.
Also,
that's pretty good.
When you mentioned I have no mouth and I must scream. Something that came to my mind is also like a lot of horror. It doesn't. You don't have to do it in every piece of horror fiction, but I do think that when you have this feeling of absolute hopelessness.
Yeah, definitely.
Because especially in that, because there's absolutely no happy ending possible really in the story. They did it in the game, but it was almost impossible to obtain without using the walkthrough. It was ridiculous. But even the ending, it's sort of happy, but one of the characters essentially still has to suffer without spoiling anything. And I do think sometimes not every horror film has to have an unhappy ending or be depressing as mad. You know, not everything has to be the in water ending from Silent Hill 2, which is just miserable.
Wait, was I the only one who cheered at that ending?
I got the leave ending the first time I did it. Everyone's like, I got the in water one. Oh, it's all depressing. Like, he leaves with the kid. It's great. What are you talking about?
Exactly. There's more than one ending.
And yeah, I just think that that does help when you feel really absolutely hopeless, which is there's like something I want to bring up about the Resident Evil 7. From what I've seen from the gameplay trailers, I haven't played the demo because I kind of try to go into things blind a bit now. I look up a few cutscenes that, but what from what I've seen,
much better.
Yeah.
I was from the beginning. I was hoping when I heard it was first person that I'm fine with being first person, as long as it's not ladled absolutely full and brimming of jump scares because they piss me off. And one of my favourite games of the last 3 years was Alien Isolation, which was brilliant. It felt
it's on my list to get round to.
It felt like a proper survival horror game, and it was scary in all the right places. And there weren't really many jump scares. And I'm just hoping that it's kind of something that you do, because most of the game you are hopeless because you can't really fight against this thing chasing you. You can't beat it. You just got to try and avoid it as much as you can. Even if you shoot it, it just kills you. And it's fine. You feel hopeless, but and in games in particular, if you feel hopeless for most of it, and then you get one thing towards the end which kind of levels the playing field a bit.
Yeah.
But still has that essence of horror. And I'm absolutely ranting and waffling on again. But yeah, hopelessness works. Yay, depressing endings.
I agree actually about the hopelessness thing, and I've noticed recently, especially with things like The Walking Dead, people kind of label it, I think, inaccurately as misery porn. You know how you have torture porn is essentially those kind of movies where you're just seeing people getting hacked apart.
Yeah, boring.
I think I could argue with you on that. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, let me lay my case.
Walking Dead is misery
let me lay
porn.
my case out, and then you can hit me with a rebuttal. But torture porn I don't care for. Misery porn I think is a kind of it's basically along the lines of what people think misery porn is what you're describing there. It's that kind of existential hopelessness of we're not going to survive this, or we can only survive this for so long, and that is present actually in a lot of the things that I do enjoy. And without getting Freudian about it, I think there are lots of parallels there between sort of our own mortality and things like that. But I see so many people write these things off as misery porn, the Walking Dead Telltale game Season 2. I don't know if you guys have finished it, but it's a miserable time. And
I got to a little bit, and then I said no.
I haven't actually put around to it yet.
It can be too much for people, and I totally appreciate that. And there'll be times when I'm not in the mood for that. I just want to play, I don't know, something along the lines of... I'm really looking forward to Yooka-Laylee actually coming out this year, because it's going to be a bright, sunny platformer that literally completely different from everything that I'm usually into, just as a kind of a palate cleanser. But when people call it misery porn, I feel like they're missing something. They're kind of a bit dismissive of the kind of that struggle, that existential struggle of feeling hopeless. Anyway, Chris, you're about to rip my argument to pieces. It's fine.
Do it.
I would agree with you, except that we have to take into account that it's a written story, it's fiction, and the author is putting these characters through these situations on purpose.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
And I don't think that a lot of the things that happen in The Walking Dead would have happened in a real life version of these scenarios, especially in the Telltale Season 2. It's called Spoilers of the Damned, so spoilers of the Damned.
Go ahead.
In the bathroom, when in the bathroom, that stranger whose name I never learned because I quit after that part shot the Clementine's like two protectors, the husband and wife who were going to have a baby. I can't remember their names.
Yeah, the
either.
stranger shot one, and
just...
the other one is missing, presumed dead. We have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, the stranger shoots the husband, and the husband's gut shot, and then the wife shoots the stranger, and then it's just the wife and Clementine alone in the woods, just like, well, that's that. You know, like we had happiness, and then it just got taken away, and it was like a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing, where someone who was unrelated to anything at all just showed up and ended the happiness or the potential for hope. And then died also with it.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell was that about as a narrative? What the hell was that about? Like, even if the person was just surviving and looking for stuff, it's still better to work together than it is to work by themselves. You know, like, okay, so she found like some food in the backpack and then left, and then what? You just have like 3 dead people, or 1 dead person back there, 2 sad people, and you're just walking off to find the next group of people that you can then make sad and kill.
It's a totally fair point.
You know,
yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. I think in a lot of stuff that would probably feel like that, but to me, I mean, I can only speak from my own perspective. The Walking Dead to me has always felt like it's kind of got those pointless moments where kind of things just happen, and it's because it's an ongoing. I think they refer to it in the materials, an ongoing tale of survival or whatever. It feels like there is never that kind of the narrative structure. Kind of, I know there is a narrative structure, but it's kind of free flowing and doesn't kind of adhere to a beginning, middle, end, so to speak. It's kind of always ongoing.
Right.
So we finished season 1 with Clementine seeing those 2 figures on the hill, and we don't know whether they're good or not.
Yeah.
And then in the start of the second series, we see that, oh yeah, actually it's those really nice people from the first series that Clementine might now be able to have as kind of parental figures. And then within the first 2 minutes, bang, yeah, gone. So I could...
But see, this can be done well. I'm sorry, go ahead. Well, real quick, let me make this quick point. It can be done well in the comic. They have that scenario in the prison where you have the 2 little girls who were beheaded by the psycho murderer guy who was in for tax evasion. Of course he would lie about the tax evasion. He was a character that was built in, and it worked as sort of a murder mystery of who the hell did it. And then you're like, oh shit, that guy did it. And you could even go back and be like, oh wow, he was a liar, of course. But you had other like straw men sort of characters who you thought were going to be the ones who would kill somebody before that guy did.
Yeah.
So it was an effective narrative as well as a continuator for the misery.
Yeah, I think as well.
It's
yeah, the point you're saying there is that it's not, even though it's might not necessarily take a long time for that to happen in terms of the story, you still get a kind of an introduction to a character that then shows up and does those things as opposed to a completely random appearance. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, well, I just saw 3 people go in that bathroom. I'm going to go in there and shoot one of them and then leave. What? You know? Why not be like, hey, I'm alone. You guys got anything? Can we trade? I'm a pretty good shot. I got like 6 bullets. Let's work together because I am interested in continuing my own life. As you know, because everything around me is trying to kill me, and right now you guys aren't trying to kill me. Let's be friends. But instead, you get like, you got anything good in this backpack? And it's like, hey, what are you doing in here? Oh no, blam! And then what? You just shot him, blam! Let's go and be sad some more. In summary. And I'm sorry, Matt, I cut you off earlier to say
That's
all
right.
that.
I can't remember.
So if you had something you were going to say.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. Actually, it can't have been that important.
You can't.
It
That's
probably,
law. It can't have been.
It probably wasn't.
Well, I'm going to stick my podcast host hat on and kind of move us on a bit because time's getting away with us.
Okay.
And it's really good, actually. I didn't expect these kinds of in-depth conversations to come from the first episode. We've really actually kind of blown our load early, and the rest of the episodes are going to be shit.
Yeah. Be ready for it. Subscribe now.
If we move on to basically, I did want to talk about a couple of other things, but we'll save those for other podcasts because those are things that are not going to happen anytime soon. Things like Twin Peaks being announced for May, which I know, Matt, you're super excited about. I am
Fucking
too.
excited.
Chris, have you ever seen Twin Peaks?
No, but I am interested.
Oh boy, I can't recommend it enough.
I want to see it, but I kind of want to see it with my fiance someday. So I'm not sure if I'll watch it.
That's a good. Yeah, I can appreciate that. I watched through with my brother and my wife, and it was captivating. And the thing I will say about it is, as a connoisseur of horror things and of Silent Hill, things like that, when you watch it, you will see so much of the things that you enjoy in Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
You will see so much of it, and it really serves as a kind of a testament to how influential it was in so many ways, kind of ideas-wise.
Yeah.
So I won't go into spoilers, but yeah, you definitely will appreciate it on that level as well, I think.
Tom, spoilers be damned.
There are some things worth saving, Chris. And
there's
Twin Peaks is one of those things.
There's one thing in
All
particular. Right. The reveal of the killer is something that should never be spoilt for anyone because it's just so good.
Yes, and it made me feel a lot of things as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
it does.
We won't go into that. Trust me. We'll save that for once you've seen it.
Hmm.
But suffice to say, we are excited, and maybe we'll kind of have a little 10 minutes when it comes out just to go, "Eee, it's here."
Yeah. Oh god, it's terrible.
But yeah, the main thing is every kind of episode, I wanted to have maybe a focus of one thing that we talk about, and I was going to talk about Limbo today because I've been replaying it. Actually, I talked earlier about possibly getting into speedrunning. It's one of the first games I'm considering getting into speedrunning because, it's not too much of a time investment, and it's fairly simple in terms of the strategy involved. But I wanted to talk about Limbo mainly because I wanted to kind of set the stage for set the stage for Inside, not Outside. You guys, neither of you have played Inside, have you?
No.
Tom, I play Inside all the time. Hey! No, I haven't played Inside at all, contrary to my previous statement.
But you, am I right in thinking you've both played Limbo?
Yes.
I've beaten Limbo. It was pretty fun. It was a good
Cool.
time. I'm glad it was over, and I loved how it ended.
Yeah. I'm still not 100% sure of exactly what it means, but I've got a few ideas. I think the title itself is self-explanatory for the ending, but if you don't want to talk about it because we're running out of time, then I'm not going to worry. Yeah,
about
well,
it.
I'm thinking maybe we'll save it for another podcast, or maybe it will take up the second or the first half of the next podcast, because what I was going to suggest is at some point, if you guys wanted to try and pick up Inside, I'm not sure exactly how much it costs at the moment on Steam, but perhaps when it's cheaper, or failing that, if it's just not possible, maybe watching a let's play of it, because so many people that I sort of listen to and appreciate the opinion of listed it in their top 10 games of 2016, and really? Considered the fact that it's from the makers of Limbo, and I really liked Limbo. I'm really excited to play it and talk about it, and a lot of people have been throwing around words that include revolutionary and sort of like major awesome plot kind of character. I'm just failing at words today. Basically, essentially, it's apparently in terms of a gameplay experience, it's definitely sort of the word experience involved there. People have played it and said that it's really hit them hard, or it had an impact on them, and so that's made me super excited, and I'm surprised I haven't spoiled it for myself already, really.
Well, that's good for you then.
Yeah. So what I might do this week then is I might play it, and if you guys want to pick it up or watch a let's play at some point, because I gather it's not too long. It might be a little bit longer than Limbo, but Limbo itself, I think you could get through in about an hour and a half.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, Limbo, you could probably do it in 20 minutes.
Well, the world record speed run I was looking at is something like 37 minutes.
Well, I think you can do it in 20.
Can you?
I don't know.
Does it involve a glitch?
I'm going to give you some motivation.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm going to do it in 1919.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hold the world record for something. That would be awesome. But yeah, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Okay, so if everyone listening as well, either they've played Inside or they are interested by it, if they check it out as well, then hopefully the next episode won't just be completely inane drivel that doesn't apply to anything they've done.
Right.
And if failing that, if we just don't get round to it, we'll pencil in our Limbo chat for then instead.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Yeah, like I think it'd be cool to have a podcast specifically about Limbo, and then go into Inside the next, like the following podcast, because it's going to be like 2 weeks between recordings anyway, and it's pretty. I'd say it's possible that we could beat Inside.
That sounds like a good plan. Let's go for that.
Yeah, because don't forget, obviously, Resident Evil 7's out on Tuesday, and that's probably going to
destroy
my life.
I'm imagining that'll.
I'm so on the fence about getting that. I don't know.
Well, it always pays to wait, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got some credit before Christmas. So basically, Resident Evil 7's costing me something like £10. So at that, it basically became a no-brainer at that point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I really wish I could.
I
really wish I could afford for the PS4 with the VR and everything else.
Yeah.
That'd
be really cool.
I see mixed opinions about VR because I followed Jim Sterling, and he kind of tried everything in the VR sort of space, and he says a lot of it is kind of rubbish and not very user friendly, but he says the PSVR was probably the best, and so
it's the cheapest.
He said as well, based on the fact that it's the cheapest as well, that it's probably the best, but
like it's a $400 headset, and if you already have the PS4, then that's
we'll see. We don't even have a PS4. We have Xbox One, unfortunately. Yep, Harmonix, in their infinite wisdom, decided to only allow DLC for Rock Band 4 to port across console type and not across. So basically, because all of my content was on the 360. The only way to get it in Rock Band 4 was to play it on the Xbox One. So the second they announced that, I knew I had to buy an Xbox One because I've invested far too much time and money in my extensive Rock Band library.
Well, I respect that, but how often do you play the Rock Band / Guitar Hero correlation on the Xbox One today?
Well, I play Rock Band. I haven't been recently, actually, but when I do, it is a couple of times a week. Okay. As long as you're getting your money out I feel like I do.
Time out of it.
I used to play not at a professional level, but I did enter some competitions with friends and stuff, and we did win a couple of times. Yeah. I've played Guitar Hero and Rock Band far too much. Invested far too much time in sort of attaining that level of skill.
Yeah, but this is. Let's see. We're about an hour in, so I kind of feel like we should either wrap this up as our first podcast, or move to a topic more related to horror stuff.
Yeah, my call count says something like 1 hour 40. I know we didn't clap at the start, but
no, it's 1 hour 5 for me, and then I was the late guy. So
okay, never mind. Yeah, no, that sounds fine. So. Yeah, if we I don't know when the next one will be, but if we pencil in that we'll probably be talking about the impact of Resident Evil 7, whether we've played it or watched Let's Plays at that point, and then we'll move on to Limbo discussion. That sounds pretty good.
That sounds fine.
Yeah, that sounds
excellent. That sounds good for me. That works.
Okay, well, I might do a little bit of editing just to make sure that some of the awkward pauses and the basically's disappear.
Yeah, clip that stuff out.
But
basically, you
I'm
have
sure
to keep
a
that
lot
in.
of it will stay in.
It's got to stay in because I want a counter. I want that counter.
And I'd just like to say to anyone who's made it this far, if they've listened to this at all, if it's even been released to the general public, thank you, and we hope you continue to listen. We'll continue rambling and saying the same word over and over again.
Yes.
The same word. I'm doing it over and over again. The same word.
My goodness, yeah. If people are still with us, thank you. It's
after that, especially.
But yeah, and suffice to say, before I forget, let's also plug our channels again, just to make sure. If anyone's listening and they want to check out more stuff from you, Chris, where do they go?
Well, mine's pretty easy to remember. It's Karisu, which is Japanese because I'm a weeb. 1061 afterwards. But instead of me, if you would rather look at something else, anything else, I highly recommend Super Great Friend and Iconoclast 187. Check them both out. They do horror-related stuff. They have good voices. They're not screamers or anything like that in any way. And I highly recommend them. Until I become a better YouTuber, I would suggest you go over to those two people.
Oh, nice. Yeah, if you message me the names of those guys, I'll put them in the show notes, and I'll check them out myself. Because
I mean, they're relatively famous already, but yeah, I mean, any support I can give them, I will do.
Nice.
It. They're really good people.
Okay, and how about you, Matt?
Yeah, if you want to watch my strange content, just head over to Lost in the Warp Pipe. You'll know it's me because my most recent review was of a horrible hidden object game based on a British soap opera.
I can attest. It was a good episode. I enjoyed it.
The pain, the pain
out.
in the video is genuine because it was absolutely horror. It's the worst thing I've ever played.
Yeah, so essentially, it is the best horror game ever made.
It's just horrible, and it's horror. What was even worse is that I recognised some of the characters and even knew their names.
Cultural osmosis. Yeah, you just pick up this stuff,
which saddened me to no end. It's horrible. It's the fucking worst.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, check that out and check the channels Chris mentioned out. Also, my account isn't actually live yet, so I will either edit it in or wait till episode 2 to find out what my channel is called. No.
If you edit it in, could you please be like, please go to my channel
Mr. Black.
youtube.com.
Just, as robotic as possible. This is the name of the channel. Go here.
I don't think it's a secret. My channel's going to be called Dark Gazing, so...
Well, there you go. Put that in, wait, hang on, so you can just put it into Dark Gazing. So you can just put that in there, and that's perfect.
Check out Dark Gazing.
Perfect.
And yeah, well, I also recommend Carcinogen SDA. His channel is really good. I like his videos, so
I can attest to that.
Yeah, his post commentary is really good because it means he's not in the moment. He's not having to think about it. He can just explain it all afterwards, which I think makes for a better video. Although having said that, I saw him at some of the Games Done Quick this year, and he was commenting on it live, and he was just as articulate. So I think he's just some kind of savant genius.
Talented bastard.
Yeah. We hate talented bastards.
Yeah, bring them down.
I'm the only one.
So
talented bastard.
Yeah. Anyway, so thanks guys, and until next time, see you later.
Yes, see you later.
Yep. Thanks for listening. Clap.
Hey.
Clap. Hey.
And wait.
If we put a couple together. Excellent. Thank you.
What is that?
This episode of Spoilers of the Damned was hosted by Axton10_61, Madicus Finch, and Garlips. To find out about us, as well as join the discussion on our Discord, check out all the links in the description below. Please feel free to leave a review or rate us on your podcast app of choice.